You're watching Live Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Politico's Aaron Pellish has this. The Trump administration is seeking to block California from implementing new congressional maps ahead of next year's midterms. The Department of Justice is making an argument that mirrors the one made by conservative lawyers to the Supreme Court last month in a case that could weaken the VRA. We are learning that the Justice Department is aiming to block this. Of course, control of the House in 2026 very well may, in part, be decided by redistricting across the country. The complaint was filed in California federal court. It's targeting the new map that was pushed by Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom in response to similar Republican-led efforts in Texas. This tweet is by Aaron Pellish, and Aaron is standing by with us here. Aaron, as you wrote this week, 3 Republican-led states, including Texas, Missouri, and North Carolina, those states have not faced federal legal action after revamping district lines. Why weren't those states sued?
Well, Austin, thanks for having me. I think it's relatively obvious why those states weren't targeted the way that DOJ is targeting California now following the passing of Prop 50. Those are obviously Republican legislatures who are drawing maps that are benefiting Republicans, part of the Trump administration and the Trump White House's effort to skew the 2026 battleground map in favor of Republicans in order to ensure that they retain control of the House heading into the back half of Trump's second 4 years in office. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Republicans haven't been trying to stop Democrats heading to draw their own maps. If you think back all the way to when Texas first started drawing their maps, pushed on aggressively by Trump allies and Trump from the White House, that was an effort that was responded to by Gavin Newsom and California Democrats with what ended up becoming Proposition 50. Republicans were attempting to get voters out to oppose the ballot measure and had some big money coming in to oppose it. You'll remember Kevin McCarthy was spending pretty aggressively to try and get voters to come out to run ads against Prop 50. Charles Munger Jr., the heir to Berkshire Hathaway, spent a significant amount of money. The House, the main super PAC representing House Republicans, spent a significant amount of money. But in the end, what this comes down to is the Trump administration's first real foray into trying to block Proposition 50 from happening after voters approved it last week.
And people who are watching us on election night know that it approved pretty easily. It was, I believe, a minute after the polls closed that the AP felt confident enough to call this thing in the favor of it getting passed. We were just looking at video of Attorney General Pam Bondi. She's accusing California Governor Gavin Newsom of executing a, quote, brazen power grab. She's arguing that the maps are violating civil rights laws. But Aaron, if you can expand on this, are federal courts actually able to police partisan gerrymandering?
Well, so the short answer is no. The Supreme Court ruled in 2019 that federal courts can't police partisan gerrymandering. But what the Trump administration is arguing here they're not asking the court to rule whether or not to block the maps on their face value. They're asking the courts to rule that the use of race-conscious parameters for drawing maps violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. So what they're saying is, and this is exactly what DOJ lawyers said in the lawsuit, they're arguing that race cannot be used as a proxy to advance political interests. It's a set of language and ideas that sort of tries to connect the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment with the Voting Rights Act, which is a law explicitly designed to protect racial minorities' political representation in Congress. And what this challenge does is it links the Trump administration's to a set of conservative legal ideas that were brought forward to the Supreme Court last month in a case on Louisiana's congressional maps, where those same lawyers argued essentially the same thing, that the Voting Rights Act violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And in that case, several Supreme Court justices on the conservative side of the docket, including Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, appeared to suggest in their questioning and in the arguments that they viewed race-conscious parameters in redistricting as unconstitutional. Now, it's not really clear if those same justices were hearing this this lawsuit will feel the same way. It's a 3-judge panel in California who's going to hear this lawsuit. One was appointed by Obama, one was appointed by Biden, one was appointed by Trump. So a little bit of a political ideological skew. But that's sort of the argument that the Trump administration is making here.
Is it seeming like this is setting up some sort of extended legal and political fight between Gavin Newsom and President Trump?
Well, the legal fight, you're right, I think is getting underway right now. The political fight, I think it's pretty clear, has been long underway, dating back to when the Trump administration and the Trump White House first pushed Texas to redraw its maps. That's triggered this massive redistricting fight that we've all been talking about. And the math here is now, if this Prop 50 holds, which, you know, obviously the Trump administration is trying to block from going through, but if it holds, right now the math is pretty much dead even between Republican districts that have been drawn, or districts that have been drawn more favorably for Republicans and districts that have been drawn more favorably for Democrats. You've seen Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio all draw districts that are netting out for more favorably for Republicans. You've seen California go through this. A district in Utah was drawn to massively benefit Democrats. Virginia Democrats won massively in their assembly last Tuesday, and that paves the way for them to draw new districts in a way that could massively benefit Democrats. Maryland is seeking to add another Democratic district. So the math here is pretty neck and neck. It's a real cutthroat battle for control of the House, and but this political fight is pretty well underway. The legal fight, in some respects, is also well underway. You've seen the Trump administration and Gavin Newsom go toe to toe over ICE entering Los Angeles earlier this year, and on a handful of other things, including the response to the wildfires at the beginning of this year. So this is the next front in a long going battle between Newsom and Trump. Trump clearly sees Newsom as a significant political foe, and Newsom, I think, sees Trump as the same way.
Yeah, what has Newsom's camp responded to? How have they responded to this? Have they said anything directly?
So a statement I got from a Newsom spokesperson, Brandon Richards, said, quote, "These losers lost at the ballot box, and soon they will also lose in court." That kind of shows you exactly what I was just saying, where Newsom really sees this fight on Prop 50, this legal fight, as really connected to the political fight, and really is excited and eager to take on the Trump administration in both the court and in the ballot box, and hoping to, of course, Gavin Newsom being a potential 2028 candidate, a leading face of the Democratic Party, using these kind of fights against the Trump administration to kind of bolster those chances.
Aaron Pellish is a reporter with Politico. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Austin.